Okay, so let's get this one sorted. Okay, it's a little bit ugly, but I'm sure we'll get there. And hopefully my writing will be neat enough. Alrighty-o. So first thing we notice, it's got the 2. We've got to get rid of that 2. So we end up with x squared minus 9 over 2x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so I've just left this as a fraction, and it ends up working out nice in the end. Looks a little bit ugly, but don't stress. So I've got my 9 over 2x. Now I've got to find my term to make that a perfect square. So if I look at this, just because it's a fraction, don't worry about it, because we go plus, and I leave the 9 there. Half of 9 over 2, if you think about it, a half times a half. So 9 times 1 is 9, 2 times 2 is 4. So a half of 9 over 2 is 9 over 4. Now I've added, so I've got to subtract it. Then I've got to throw my 4 on the end, equals 0. Now I could get rid of this 2 because there's a 0 on the end, but I'm going to leave it till the last. Just because. And it's mainly due to, oh, don't worry, I'll keep going here, sorry. I've got to get my perfect square, so I put minus 9 over 4 squared. So there's my perfect square. Okay, so all of this term is my perfect square. I put that value in there. So I'm all sorted, okay. And why did I put the minus? Because it was a minus there. So now I've got to get rid of sort out this part here. So I'm going to actually square that out. So that's 81 over 16. Now I could say 4, but because this is a fraction, I'm going to turn 4 into something over 16. So that's like over 1 times 16, I get 64. Okay, and equals 0. Now, getting closer to the end, x minus 9 over 4 squared, and if I worked these ones out, I end up with minus 17 over 16. Okay, so it looks a little bit ugly because of the fractions, but don't stress. Now I've got it as the difference between 2 squares. I've got my 0 on the end. So now my equation becomes, I'm going to write it over this way a bit more, x minus 9 over 4 minus root 17. Now I've got to take the square root of 16, which becomes 4. Then x minus 9 over 4 plus square root of 17 over 4. Because remember, I'm taking the square root of all of that, but the square root of 16 is 4. And then you can see I'm getting common denominators here. So it's getting a little bit nicer. So I've got that far from my null factor law. Okay, I can go x minus 9 over 4 minus root 17 over 4 equals 0, or x minus 9 over 4 plus root 17 over 4 equals 0. So now I get x equals to 9, take that, plus root 17, and then I can put it all over 4, or x equals 9 minus root 17 over 4. And there's my 2 solutions. Now the reason I keep this 2 out the front is because if it wasn't a 0 here, just in the sense of completing the square, that's what we have to do. We have to keep that 0 in that 2 in the front. We can get rid of it because it's an equal 0. So I tend to leave it in until we get to the null factor law. Once we get to the null factor law, then I can happily drop it off. I can do it earlier, I just think it's mathematically neater to keep that 2 in. Okay, there you go.